Hey, welcome back to Delano Custom Models. It's Jim Rinker again. And a lot of people asked for the layout tour. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give it now, finally. So I'm going to give an overview and then I'm going to run the trains. So what you see here is my original main layout here. And the way this goes, and I'll have pictures of, links to pictures in the comments section of this video. But the layout goes up around the back there, so you can see where those hopper cars go, where the covered hoppers go here. So this is two main tracks, and then the third track that you see there is a controlled siding, and that holds basically one complete train. It's not my longest train, but it holds a complete train. There's crossovers on against that back wall, and then those tracks go down underneath what's going to be a mountain, and that section that's open is going to be one big mountain, and then they wind up coming out of that tunnel there and then around up and then up that grade where you see the intermodal train. And then originally the way it went was through that mountain, out that tunnel, and then just back around. The first loop I added was this loop here, and this is just one big Y, so it comes off of the outside track and then it connects back to the outside track. And then what you see here is a removable section so you can get to the hot water heater, which is behind me, and then that connects to this right here. And then these are all number 8 curve switches, Shinohara's, and this goes into my intermodal terminal. And the intermodal terminal originally ended, and you'll see that in the pictures, right where it starts to slant off there. And then that was just a stub. But the intermodal terminal is 8 tracks. You can see the 4 tracks in the foreground here, and then 4 really long tracks, and each of those tracks holds a whole train. There's like 46 or 47 cars on the Triple Crown. There's 27 cars on that very long auto rack train, and there's like 47 cars on a complete weathered freight train. And we'll just walk back here, and all underneath you can see all the storage that I have. Overstock, projects, you name it. Winds up collapsing down here, so the first tracks in the foreground are shorter, and then the tracks, the 4 longest tracks, actually extend over my workbench. So you can see here's where it all happens here. Here's where I clean all my wheels. Here's where I actually do most of my detailing work, right at this bench here. But you can see here's the end. There's the shortest track right there, and then you can see the longest tracks kind of wind up curving around. And then that one track on the outside right here, this is the main that goes around the whole thing. And then these 3 tracks, 1, 2, 3, are just a small yard I have here, and that holds basically just some long box, those 86-foot box cars, just for storage. And then you can see here, jobs. So everybody's job is neatly put in one of these crystal light boxes so it doesn't get lost. More storage, more jobs, and then this all collapses down into a single track, which fits just nicely behind the hot water heater. All this is glued to the wall with adhesive, and no worries about it falling down. And then there's a Y here. You can see the switch, and then it goes behind the heater, and there's a 45-degree crossover there, so, and that winds up back at my main layout here, and you can see how it comes in under the mountain, and it either winds up where the stack train is, or it winds up going back here out of this tunnel and back onto the main layout. So basically I could run trains in either direction and reverse them. So pretty complete. I don't think my layout's going to change anymore. That was the last piece I put on, was this loop here where the intermodal train would be going back into the yard. So I can run right into my intermodal yard and then back out again. I can run trains either direction. And you could see the one last thing with my yard is, so this track over here, you can see I have a switch at the top there, and then that runs down into my yard, so you would be able to run a train in and actually have enough track that the train would be able to do all kinds of pickups and set-offs without interfering with mainline operations. And then very far back there, you could see right there where that switch is, that's a long lead that goes back. You can see where all those hopper cars are. It goes back in under that mountain, all under the mountain, the whole length of under the mountain here. Hold on. There we go. And it's hard to see, but the third track that's next to those two, you can't really see it, but you can see some hopper cars down there. And then there they are. And then that goes back down and out of another tunnel there, out of this tunnel, and then it winds up out my yard. And so then you can have a whole train work in the yard that way and come in without it blocking the main. Car shops, and then down at the end there's a small engine terminal, and there's 3 tracks, 3 small tracks and 6 longer tracks, and then 2 storage tracks. So in my next section, in my next part of this, I'm just going to have all the trains running around. I should be able to have 3 trains running continuously with no problem. So I'm going to stop this part, and I'll have part 2 coming up after that, and I'll show the trains going around. But that's, before I end this one, that's going to be that's a mountain where all the pink foam is, and each section comes off individually, so in case something happens underneath there. And then that's going to be a mountain in the corner there, and there's going to be a tunnel entrance exit coming out of there. And this is a town. Well, my son did all that when he was smaller, but that'll eventually be a town, and there's going to be a river with there's a small bridge going over where the river would be there as well. And it's all sectioned off. They're all 4x8 connected sections, so in case I needed to move the layout, I'd be able to do it, although the way it is right now, it's going to be difficult to move anything. And then storage underneath the entire layout makes everything nice and neat. Eventually that'll all be covered over, so you won't see that if I ever get to it. And my control panel. And this was when I originally ran a DC, I had everything blocked off. So all these blocks that you see in front of you, the ones that are on the top, all the yard is blocked off, and then all of these here are for the mains that were blocked off. Now I went to DCC, I kept everything blocked, and then all these blocks here are for the intermodal terminal that's behind me. And what I did is I just kept them so I could still shut off the blocks even though I run everything with my DCC system. So let's go underneath the layout here, and you can get a final view of the size of the layout there. So that's the main section again, and then you can see there's the size of the whole layout there. And then I don't have the lights on here, but you can see that there's where I do my airbrushing, more freight car storage there, and then more storage of client work jobs on that bank. And that's a box that I use for doing air blasting to clean off brass engines. Okay, well, I'll show you part 2 with the train running then coming up.